ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Over the Head, episode 20. We've done it. 20. I don't know what the significance of that is. 10 times 2.
Viente.
20 episodes. And I saw some comments. So last week I had made the plea for engagement, and I saw 4 Spotify comments. So shout out to whoever tapped in there. Friend of the show, Marcus Holman, kind of started it, but there were others. So appreciate that. I'm just going to keep doing it because, again, I think I speak for both of us. We love doing this. It ain't free. It ain't free to make a podcast. So
it is not.
Help us out. Get the engagement up. Share it with friends. Even if it's not commenting, just getting more listeners, it'll help us to go out and try to find some sponsors and make this something that we can do year round and, for years to come. So I'm going to keep saying that.
Or if you're a company watching, throw some cash at us.
If you're a company, if you work at a company, perhaps.
JP Morgan, any of that. We mention you guys a lot, so.
We do. That's for sure. So, man, this is awesome. I'm just so happy to be in PLL season. Week 2, we'll recap the action from Charlotte. We'll talk about the upcoming week. I believe it's in Philly, week 3, matchups, all that stuff. But to start, Hartsey, we had a trade. So, I don't know if I'd call it blockbuster because the production hasn't been there, but definitely notable. Sam Handley goes to the Redwoods for a 3rd-round pick going back to the Denver Outlaws. There was also Scott Smith and Jack McDonald, which we can mention, kind of 2 rookies who were drafted actually back-to-back 16 and 17 swap places. A little bit strange, but interesting nonetheless. But the bigger one, I think the one we should start talking about before we go into week 2 is the Handley trade. I'm sure we'll get into it more with the Outlaws, but what's your reaction to that? Do you have a winner? Handley, Redwoods, 3rd-round pick for for a guy who's hit cage 3 times, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I was kind of, the last 2 weeks we've been talking about him, on the Outlaws, offense, how he fits. He's kind of been underwhelming, I think, the last 2 years. When he was picked up, I remember he fucking took me to the rack my last one. I think it was my last season, but how big and strong he was, just getting downhill on you. But he's kind of just hasn't done much. It's been not that he hasn't done much. He's just been missing the cage, turnovers.
Yeah, he gets off shots.
Yeah, he gets off shots. So we had talked about this, but I'm it's just it's been going like this. And look, the Redwoods, whatever the hell is going on in that locker room, obviously we know Anthony Kelly very well. Maybe it resurges his career because there's a guy on that roster, Dylan Malloy, kind of the same, where does he fit? What's he doing? Is his career over? And he's emerging. So I think it's going to be, he's going to crash and burn, or, I think that energy, he's going to just rejuvenate his career and, prove me wrong. But at the end of the day, I think if I got to pick one, I just don't think it's going to pan out.
Yeah. So my take on the trade is the Outlaws had to get rid of him. They picked up Bernhardt. There's a midi spot open. Just the style of play. It's just, he wasn't hitting the cage. So that makes sense. To me, for the Outlaws, it's a no-brainer. Third, they have enough talent. Their issue is not offensive talent. So they had guys to spare. And 3rd rounder, that TJ Malone, I'm pretty sure went in the 3rd round. You can get a stud in the 3rd round in the league with, 9 teams or whatever the hell it is. A 3rd round pick is the equivalent of a late 1st round pick in most other pro sports, right? Because of the number of teams. So I like the trade for the Outlaws. It's a no-brainer. For the Redwoods, it's a little bit. So I kind of get it. You take a flyer. Sam Handley was a Tewarton finalist, was a big time name coming out of college, was a super high draft pick. And because of if you're Spallina, who is known for this and makes these trades and is super aggressive, in the trade market, you're probably saying I don't know if they've gotten a ton out of Denenza. You have room to insert another offensive player. I do question a little bit him and Romar. You're getting into 2 very similar styles.
Yeah.
2 guys who can kind of get off their shot whenever they want, can shoot the 2, but don't shoot a super high percentage. I don't know if I love 2 of them out there. I think having one of them out there is good. It's good to always have that stretch threat or a guy who can go get off a shot, especially to me as a 2nd line midi. I love Romar. I think even in his outlaw days, I think as a second line midi, he's great. Like if you're on the first line and it's high volume shots and you're shooting below 30%, like that's generally not good. But if it's that, kind of that run where we're gonna keep our go-to middies on the bench, and I just want to have a guy who can go get one and might hit a 2 on the run or might pop off a game and hit 2 2s. Like I think that's the place you fit that type of player in. I don't know if there's room for 2 of them. So I think it's going to be interesting to see like what Train does and Spalina do with the 19-man. Do Romar and Handley both dress? That's something to watch, I think, for sure. But man, like what the Redwoods are doing is insane. We'll talk about it when we go through it. Like they look fucking awesome. Yeah. It's so much like the Cannons 2 years ago, where it just seems like everything they're doing is working. And so if there is a team where I'm like, maybe Handley finds some magic, that's the only one. They're the only one right now that have that fairy dust of like, they're pressing all the right buttons. I would not like this trade for any other team, a 3rd round pick for a guy who I don't think is going to last in your lineup. But for the Redwoods, it's like, ooh, maybe that is actually like the one locker room right now that could like bring out something in him and spark him. So, I guess I get it from both sides.
Yeah, and the other interesting piece is like, when he was on the Chrome and the Outlaws, he was like the guy, right? He was the guy, was getting the pole. So maybe on this Redwoods team, like, McAdory, like, is he going to get the pole? I don't think so. So maybe it's going to be good for him. I don't know. But again, like, we made some good points on it. But, it's just going to be interesting to see how it pans out.
But we can talk about that when we will. When we get it, like, maybe we dive in with this. But, like, when we get to the Redwoods, it's like, the thing that I think I like about them a lot is that all 3 attackmen dodge their matchups.
Yeah.
Like a lot of other teams are hunting shorties and switches. Like they're a team who's like Malloy and like it's very hard to figure out who do you put your number 1 guy on with them. And then same thing with the midfield. There's not like a clear pole priority. It's kind of like anybody can hurt you and everybody kind of attacks their matchups. So yeah, what they're doing is crazy, but it'll be interesting to see. So let's jump in. So before we go into game by game breakdown, I like just kind of what was the, you watch week 2, they're down in Charlotte, some decent crowds, some shitty crowds, like worth calling out. Like it sucks, but it's hard in the summer in the South, like just getting people in 100-degree heat in the middle of the day on a Saturday. So that was a little bit of a bummer to see like some of the crowd sizes, but we had Sowers with a ton of assists. We had a crazy game from Blaze. We had a huge highlight from Marcus. Like, what was the big takeaway? What stood out to you above all else from week 2 in Charlotte?
I think you just touched on it. Blaze Reardon breaking his own record. It's crazy. Him in the cage, in between the pipes, what he's doing. We all know he's been consistent throughout his entire career. How well he plays and. If this team's going to win games and if this team is going to, get to the playoffs and make a run, it's going to be because of him and how he's playing. And that game it's absolutely freaking absurd. It's so frustrating as a shooter. It just feels like you can't even, like when you're catching the ball, you're just like double clutching, like, oh shit, like double guessing where you're shooting it because you're just saving everything. And then in the second game, he's earned this in his career. You heard Coach Colsey talk about it in the interview. He pulled himself, right? He was just like, let's see if Cal can give us a spark, and just pulled himself out of the game. So the selflessness in that too is what he's all about. But man, that performance, watching that, I thought that was absolutely out of control. How he played.
Watching him every year, it's like this. It's like that team should be terrible. But because of him, they're just not. And I do want to call it like Rowlett is also just
very good.
He's very fucking good consistently. Like that should be mentioned. That Newman I think is a great number 2, also close to so it's not I like the totality of their defense, but what he does, the only way they win games is him just being absurd, and that was insane to watch. He was just every fucking shot, and he's just catching it. He makes it look so easy and effortless, and they continue to play to their game plan. I got a text from Joe Keegan. Shout out to him. I've got to pull it up, but he shared a stat around Blaze's save percentage. Again, so last season, 65% save percentage against unassisted shots, 54 against assisted shots. So goes back to that point of they clearly have a plan. You make people shoot unassisted shots against you, and Blaze is your slide guy. if one person dodges and keeps the ball on the stick and he can track it the whole way, 7 out of 10 times they're not scoring. Like, it's an insane stat. 7 out of 10 times that they hit cage. That doesn't even include the times that they're missing cage or whatever else. So that's an insane stat. I don't disagree. I think my biggest takeaway, and then this will be the first game we jump into, but the flip side of that, like, I might be the Outlaws villain. Like, they look fucking awful. And the PL, so I'm not on social media, so I just don't see very much of this, but I know I've seen a couple things that you'll send to me or whatever that's like the aura on this team with all these Tewarton winners and Brennan and Logan and Pat and Bernhardt. Like, let me help you, RJ and PLL crew. None of those guys have aura. Like, aura isn't just you're good. Aura is like charisma and like maybe Brennan O'Neill has some, and I think Jared Bernhardt has aura potential. It's like I talked about this last week, man. They're all robotic. Like, there's no life. There's no like joy. There isn't, in my opinion, there is no aura. So I love, like, if the media team's going to start pumping into this and then they keep not performing, this is going to be a fun one for me to jump on, because it's like they look like shit. I think all those players are good individually, but there's one ball, one cage, 4 Tewarton winners. Like, it's just not. It reminds me of the NBA with, like, you look at the Phoenix Suns, a team or something like that had like Beal and KD and Booker, and like you can't win. Like, it just doesn't. That's what they're looking like right now. And like, I thought Manley, you know, the kind of the fight thing, like, he tried to spark them. There's just no juice in that group right now. Yeah. And they don't look good. I mean, they, like, again, credit to Blaze, but like, they don't look good. They don't seem to have an identity, and there's not a lot. I'm going to say it again. Like, there's not a lot of smiles on a lot of faces out there right now. I thought Jared Bernhardt looked great. Like, Blaze kind of got the best of him, but he did generate a lot of shots. But like, it's the opposite of the Redwoods, where they're having fun and they're being empowered. Like, who is the leader on this team? If you're Sudan, who are you empowering? Like, it's like they don't know who the guy is. And I'll tell you, it's O'Neill. Like, he needs to be fed the ball more, get more touches, more shots. I think Bernhardt looks more dangerous than Cav. Get his ass at X and say, Jared and Brennan, this thing runs through you. But like, some sort of definitive decision around identity on that offense needs to happen, because right now, none of them look like they're having fun. They all look confused. Bundy, who was like electric last year, has been invisible, because how could he? There's one fucking ball and there's all these dudes. The Denver Outlaws look so bad. And the Denver Outlaws kicked my ass for so many years in my career. It's nice saying that. It's nice saying that the Denver Outlaws look shitty and look like they have a shitty culture, which was like the opposite of what the Denver Outlaws were for all those years. So that was my big takeaway, is like, that team is in trouble right now. I mean, we can talk about the chaos and like their roster, but like, they have leadership, they have identity with Blaze. Like, the Outlaws look like the bottom feeders right now, which is crazy, because they're the media darlings on paper. They're all this star power, and they're not showing up. It's 2 games, plenty of time.
Yeah,
they haven't done shit so far, though.
If I see Joe Walters on the sideline this weekend, I'm going to put my foot through the TV. You gotta put him in. He had 36 save percentage in the game.
Just in case people are joining us late, Kyle calls McNaney Joe Walters because he wore number 1 at Maryland. Just so we're clear, which is great.
And what's ironic is he's on the fucking iPad, which is fucking ironic. But like,
it's ridiculous.
You got to put him in the game. I think Logan McNaney, he's been a proven goaltender in the collegiate level, despite what I said about him, and that's just all circled around the number 1 jersey. I didn't agree with, but you got to put him in the cage. Like, he's going to give your team a spark. I think he's going to be a great goaltender in this league. Like, get the iPad out of his goddamn hands and put him in between the pipes. I don't know why you're. And that was weird. I know we're not into this game yet, but like, they pulled Krebs and they put the Penn kid in, and then he didn't do well. It's
on the whips.
Yeah, it's like whips, keep Krebs in, and then Outlaws put McNaney in. Like, you got to put him in. You got to
totally agree. And I think just like some tough decisions on offense. Like, look, Pat Cav has not looked good in now a full season with the Cannons and 2 games with the Outlaws. He got off a lot of shots. He was not able to beat Blaze, and Wisnauskas is like. Same thing. He's like kind of just out there. Like, this is beating a dead horse, but it's like the ball. I think the more that Pseudo can empower the ball to live in Jared Bernhardt's stick and Brennan O'Neal stick, and then you got to find a way, in my opinion, to get Bundy, more shots. Like that's a tough situation to coach, man. Like this kind of reminds me of the Archers in the years that I was there. Like we had a lot, like Marcus and Will and Tom, and like you had a lot of guys that were great individually, but it just sometimes it almost gets in the way of playing free flowing, because there's so many different guys you're trying to get shots, and there's proven players who you don't want to bench or move out of position because they're so fucking good, but like what you're doing isn't working. So something's got to change, and maybe they're not at panic button yet, but dude, the chaos, when you see them again in the next game, like that offense is just really not good. So like to lose to them in that fashion, they not only can they not score, but to give up 12 goals to that offense, to your point, without making a goalie change, it's a weird situation. So let's get into the games, because we'll break it down more and probably be a little bit more organized in our approach. So let's start there, right? So we just talked about it, like Carolina, Denver. A lot, and I don't want to be overly repetitive, but like the chaos offense looks serviceable there in that game. And again, you don't see a ton of saves from McElroy. And I think what happened was the chaos offense is struggling. But then every time Blaze makes another save, it's like you can feel the momentum, and like the team's getting that sense, especially in kind of in the third quarter is really when it happened, where it's like, holy shit, these guys, they cannot score on Blaze. And when you're over there on the other side of the field, and they were talking about this on the broadcast, like you could feel like them kind of loosen their grip on the stick, because they're not so worried. It's like, well, whatever, even if I fuck up here, Blaze is just going to save the ball at the other end. So you could like feel the whole energy of the chaos offense pick up, and they started to play. Sherilyn Beatty's had a couple goals. Like I'm not a huge fan of him being the best player on your offense. Like, let me be clear. Like, I think he's an average role player at best, and he's kind of like their leading scorer right now. But, they got momentum because Blaze stood on his head and Rowlett was good. And, but that was really it. And then on the other side, I mean, I'm just keep bashing it, but like Denver's it was the most uninspiring performance. Like Bernhardt was fun to watch. Like that was the only thing I took away, was Jared couldn't beat Blaze, but he was creating separation. He was noticeable out on the field. I think he's got to go down to attack. That's my point of view.
Yeah, and I think, the chaos offense, I think they need to lean a little bit more into transition. Obviously, Jared Newman hitting 2 2-pointers on the weekend, but, getting out of the back end quick is going to be huge for them. Maybe, Blaze makes a clean save, get the hell out, push transition. I think that's a big point of emphasis to them moving forward. But guys on their offense, like, Scott, he had 5 points on the weekend. JJ Silstrop again producing 2 goals in the first game against the Outlaws in the win.
Yeah, but let's be clear. The guys on their offense, they figured it out in this game. They were fucking awful in the game against the Redwoods. And like even in this game, it wasn't like they were they got 25 saves. Like they got so many possessions and chances and chance after chance, and they're not playing a goalie who's playing very well. Like to me, major concerns on that offense.
And I'm just calling out their consistencies down there. Iker, the kid from Army, and then Cross Ferreira. Every game he's had a point in every game. Like they don't have like the guys that like when they're dodging out of the box like a Tom Schreiber, a Bernhardt, a Set. Like they don't have those guys, so they're gonna have to.
Nope.
They're going to have to figure it out and play as a unit very well. And like you said, I don't think, Charlon Beads had, I don't know how many freaking goals he had, but like he's not.
Well, he had like 3, maybe he had 6, I think, on the weekend between the 2 games, which is like, 6 1-pointers. It's a good little weekend, but also it's not enough. And I don't really know like that he's a guy that can create. Like I don't know what they do at this point in the season. Like, I don't know that they have many trade assets. It's not like there's just like talented players out there that they can go pick up. So like, it kind of is what it is, I think, to some extent with their offense. But I love your take. Like, I think I would go back to chaos of whenever the bomb squad chaos was. Like, their best bet might be just like come down and chuck in transition and just like play reckless. Because in 6-on-6, like, if you're a halfway decent defense, like they don't scare me at all. Like I just feel like I can win every matchup 1-on-1 out here with these guys.
Yeah, there's no one up top.
Ross Scott, know.
There's no one up top.
No.
And moving to the Outlaws, like they got some decisions to make. Like how much longer are you gonna, you gotta, the guys that have chemistry, that had chemistry, Jared Bernhardt at X, Pat Cavanaugh on the right side, Logan Wisnowski on the left side. Bring O'Neal out of the box, because now that you're not bringing O'Neal out of the box, they're probably going to pull Bundy. So there goes your 2-point threat. He's going to have a pull on him. It's like Brent O'Neal's going to get a pull anyway. Might as well bring him. I guarantee you, if they brought him out of the box, running him downhill, I think he's way more. I think he's.
I totally agree with you. And the other thing I would call for, I'm going to take it even a step further. You need leadership. Like I keep talking about that, like the personality, the joy. And how long do you wait until you do something drastic? If I'm pseudo and I'm going to do something drastic, my move is going to be at attack Wisnowski, Bernhardt, and Eric Law. I'm bringing Elaw back.
Isn't he gone? I think he's gone.
But they picked him back up. They said they were. I don't know this for sure, but I guess there was something out there that was like they cut him but they're gonna bring him back onto the 25 man. They cut him to make room.
He's a great
veteran. They just traded Handley, so now they have another spot. I would and also he doesn't need the ball. No. He's gonna float around the crease. He's gonna stay inside. He's gonna bring life. He's gonna bring leadership.
Probably gonna score 3 points a game.
And then I would run O'Neal, Cavanaugh, and Bundy as my first line midfield.
Yeah.
So like and that like O'Neal Cavanaugh thing kind of reminds me of like Tom and Grant playing together. Like in Cav, it's kind of funny because he forced to trade off the cannons and he might end up back in that same situation. But like put him in a situation where he's coming out of the box and he's not getting the pole priority.
Yeah.
And now you have Pat Cav getting shortied all game long. You have a guy who doesn't need the ball and can produce and can lead an Elaw on the inside. And then you've got again the chemistry of Bernhardt and Wisnowski. It's like it's something. Like don't keep just rolling the ball out and doing the same thing and like it's been a shit show so far. So it'll be interesting. Pseudos again. I'm high on him. I like him as a coach. But he's got to do something. Like don't just sit on this. And then like Nick Grill has not been good. Like their defense too. Like
not great.
Again, I don't know who
it might look different though with a goalie that's got over 34 save.
Yeah,
save
fair.
Percentage.
Fair.
So, yeah,
I totally agree. All right, so let's keep it moving. So the next game, we saw Philly for the first time. Holy shit! Like they looked like the Water Dogs again. I mean, Sowers goes what was he 1-7 or something like that?
Tied a record.
Like he was fucking awesome. And Kieran McArdle, like that guy. I don't know if there's a single player, Hartsey, in the course of my career that I just had direct eye contact fuck yous with more than I did with Kieran McArdle. Like
he plays with a chip.
Like, dude, he plays with a chip, and it just always felt like I was just every time I played him, I was in a situation where it was like, fuck you, rat, like always. So let me give him his flowers. Like he's so fucking good, and he just keeps showing up, and he keeps being good, and he's still able to dodge you and score low angle. He plays so well with Sowers. So like credit to him. He looked fucking great. He looks like he hasn't slowed down at all. Fuck you, Kieran, but good job.
Shout out Kieran too. He's down there. He moved down there from New Jersey to start a lacrosse program. He's teaching the youth down there. He had a big audience in attendance.
Yeah, he's in but isn't he in Charleston or something?
Yeah, South Carolina. Yep, South Carolina.
Yeah. So anyway, so they looked really good, and then like their midfield, like Connor Kelly, all the things. Like their offense looked like themselves, and their defense was a lot of new faces, which like I kind of credit to Tierney. Like he kind of revamped that defense, and they seemed to they seemed to play pretty well. I mean, it wasn't like a crazy performance by them, by the defense, but they played well enough to win. And just I don't know, you go 1-8, like the roster looked a little different, and I just think Tierney deserves some credit for that. Like, don't run it back. Like, be willing to make some changes and make some tough decisions. And so they were impressive. I think they're going to be a problem. Like that, they got to figure out, is it DeLuca? Is it Ward? DeLuca had some issues, but I thought all in all, that was a really fucking impressive Water Dogs team.
Yeah, and like a guy that's kind of been, not very good on their roster. I know he was injured, but Tom McConvey, he played very well. He looks like he's going to have a great year. And then the other guy, I think, great alert. One of the next great inside finishers.
Jake Taylor.
Yeah, Jake Taylor, man. He had like the points he scores, but like when you watch the game, dude, he's like the two slides, paying attention to him, and the way he cuts and his spacing, like he's just drawing other defensemen to him, and it opens up all of his other teammates. If you watch,
and this
that
goes
film,
back to my Eric Law point.
Yeah,
like you need a guy out there when you have all these dudes who's very good off ball and does that stuff.
Yeah. So he's gonna be. I think he's gonna score a lot of fucking goals this year. Ben Ware, right? He had a big goal coming down the field. Watch out for the big boy. He had 9 touches.
He looks good.
I know his draft stock slid, but he was playing with a little bit of an edge. I think he had 2 penalties. Plays like an asshole. So
and the PLL game suits him. He's just good in transition, and I agree. I thought he looked awesome. And then are they going to get cursed? I don't know the timeline on Kirst's injury. We know he had
after the All-Star break. They said
and again, you're probably running Kirst at midfield. And then I also think, and they've done this, now we'll see if Tierney will do this, but they did this in the past. I also think you can run Sowers out of the midfield, put Kirsten at attack. Like they used to do that the year that they won the championship. They do that all the time, and it was a pain in the fucking ass to deal with. And now all of a sudden you have Hannah, Kelly, and Sowers, and you're trying to get your pole to Sowers, and those other 2 guys are getting to dodge shorties. And also it's like, does your LSM cover him up there? And then he takes your LSM behind and dodges him from X where he's uncomfortable, or do you get your number 1 D guy and now he's having to cover up top? Teams, we'll talk about this over the season, but the teams that have versatility, like in moving their guys around and playing positionless offensively, like the Archers are the best at it, period. But like those teams they suck to deal with. Like when you can do that well, and I think Kirst will give him that ability. Like they can just, I think most likely it looks like he'll probably play midfield, but the ability to change it up every now and then and stick him down low and run Sowers out of the box and do different things. Like it's one game, but like I was very, very impressed with how they played and how they looked, and the options they have offensively is scary.
Yeah, and kind of like that game this weekend, which we'll get into it a little bit later, but Cannons and the Water Dogs, I think, is the game of the weekend. That's going to be a heavyweight bout.
Yeah.
And then kind of moving on to the Whip Snakes, like their offense. Yep. I don't know what's going on. Rambo's inside. He's not inside. He's behind. Rob's on the wing. And then Rob, this game, like he had a lot. If you watch that game, he had a lot of great freaking assist opportunities to teammates. Just they didn't go in the back of the net. Unfortunate that happens. But like, I don't know if Rambo and Rob can be on the same. I just don't know. Like TJ Malone is obviously, their star player there, and he's consistently getting to the cage and making plays, and it's just like Rob, his whole career has played behind the cage, and it's just like I don't know the conversations. I don't talk to the coaches. Obviously, I don't know what's going on, but it looks like there's a lot of disconnect there on the offensive end, and. Guys like Brad Smith hit it too. He's heating up. He's finding his game. I think it's just going to take. It's either going to take some time. They got to figure it out. But how long are they going to keep? Are they just going to keep doing it the entire season? They do have other options. But like at the end of the day, like Rambo's been the face of that Whip Snakes team. How many games has he won for them? How many championships? And then Rob, same MVPs. Thing. Yeah, Rob, same thing. He's a future Hall of Famer. Yeah, it's a lot of big choices they have to make.
I have a couple takes on that. First one, like Malone is the best player on their team. He is very good and fun to watch, and like he's going to be a star, for a long time. They found one there too. Staggs, I think always one of the things I give him credit for. He's always been a make tough decisions guys, like unafraid to change, to bench stars, to do different things. So I do think we'll see. I don't think he's going to be afraid to make a tough decision with that offense at some point if or when he needs to do that. Like we've seen him do that. We saw him, cut Will Manny after he led the team in points. We've seen him bench Rambo even at times in the past.
He benched him in the game. He benched him in the game. Remember Dana Boyle. And by the way, the fucking I don't know if that's new this year. Like, hey, you guys can just jump on the sideline and interview the coaches whenever you want. But they like put the mic in his face. Dana Boyle.
Yeah,
like, hey, Stagg, why is Rambo? He's like, he hasn't done anything. And he's like walks away. I'm like.
Yeah. So like I want to give Staggs credit, but I think you mentioned it, doing too much with the goalie thing. Like, did Krebs brought you to the championship last year? Yeah. And then he played great in week 1. Like, I don't like that one to me is a strange, and I know that like I know it's early season and a lot of coaches do this where it's like, well, let's look at guys and then by week 3, 4, or 5, we'll settle in. So like I get like giving the kid a game, but also your own one. like he played great in that law. Like he played very well, easily well enough to win against the Archers. He literally you went to the championship with him as your starting goalie last year. Like that move to me would be one I question by Stags. Like,
You also
why?
benched. You also benched him. You also benched one of the greatest goalies we've seen in the last 10 years in Bernlohr for him, and then Bernlohr obviously retired.
Yeah, although Bernlohr was really playing shitty when that happened. Though. That
but still,
wasn't
though, he's your guy. He is your guy. You
I
don't
know.
want to send that message.
Yeah.
But,
Well, they drafted Carroll High, so clearly he wasn't completely sold there on Krebs. But that one to me was a weird move. Like kind of the opposite of Pseudo, where it's like, why aren't you pulling the trigger? This one's like, what? That seemed fast. So it's even for us. I mean, we obviously played in the generation with Rambo and Rob, and so it's hard, like it's even we started this podcast to tell the truth. Like it's hard to like they've done so much for the game, Rambo for that team, but it's a tricky situation because you're like, this is the guy who's led this team to championships. By the way, Rambo's an elite locker room guy. Yeah. Everybody fucking loves him. He's unselfish as can be in that position. Like you just can't say enough good things about him. Like the guy's a legend. He's a stud. All those things.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at this Whipsnakes roster, I'm starting Malone. I'm starting Brandow at attack, and take your pick, Rob or Rambo. Like that to me, that's your and I would even and I've said this a few times. Like I would even potentially take it a step further and take both of them out. Like and just go young. Like look at what TJ Malone is doing. There's just so many examples of it around the league where it's like when you empower these young players, with just a couple of veterans in the mix, you get great results, and they're not getting very good results offensively. So
I would be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked to see one of them get traded. I really wouldn't.
I think Brandow's played well at midfield. Like, and I've been on that for a while. Like you trade Zed for him. So Zed's a former MVP. Like just like give him a chance and like balance out your attack unit better. Like it goes back to it. They don't have, it's just not a well-balanced unit where the puzzle pieces like seem to really make sense. Rob was on this podcast saying I'll play midi. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what you do there. I don't know that I like love Rob as a midi, but also it's like if you run Rob out of the box with Brad Smith and he's getting a short stick and you go to invert offense, like that's, I mean, so it's another situation where it does feel like they need to fuck around with their lineup and how they're rolling out there because what they're doing is not working. And now that I'm saying it, I almost lean towards that, Hartsey, like Rambo as the leader, of that attack unit, like leave him down there with Brandow and Malone. And you got two lefties, but you got kind of an ex-lefty but I just Rambo on the crease is not it. Like that's not the offensive set. Rambo is your inside guy. I mean, Rob like threw Rambo a couple skip passes that didn't get finished, and it's like, yeah, this isn't what he does. Like he's not a backside pipe lefty finisher. Like it's not ever been his role for his entire life, and it's a disservice to him to now have to be in that role, and it's hurting their team, and they're 0-2, and it's time to shake it up.
Yep.
So it's that. Okay, next game, good.
Yep, good to go.
Cannons, Archers.
Yeah.
The Cannons pull out a miracle. They pull a rabbit out of their hat and come away with a 9-8 win, and it just should be said on a fucking ridiculous goal by Marcus Ullman. Like that diving, backhanded, off the pipe to beat the buzzer. You'd be hard-pressed to go back through the history of pro lacrosse and find. I mean, you could find bigger goals in terms of the moments they were scored in OT winners and championship games and playoff games, but like the level of difficulty, the buzzer beater aspect of it, the quality of that, I mean, that was awesome. And yeah, Marcus just ageless. Like he just to still be like moving and diving like that and being able to score those goals. He's just, fucking rules.
You know what? F Marcus. Shout out to the defense. I mean, Ben Ramsey making a big play. Owen Grant takeaway up top. Ben Ramsey, tough GB, running down, tying the ball game up. Now that goal by Marcus, and also to your point about the Outlaws and just as soon as Marcus scored that goal, he gets up and he's just dying laughing and just having fun and just
there's joy. The Cannons play with a lot of joy and clearly look like they're having a lot of fun when they play together.
Yeah, and I think I think 3 of the Cannons defensemen are in the top 10 in college turnovers. Like their defense is playing at a high level, and Kirsten in between the pipes is, I think, in the top 3 conversation of the goalies right now. I would even put him and Dobson, or I mean, neck and neck.
Well, that's the thing. Dobson played just as good, like because it is. It's like it's Blaze is Blaze.
Yeah,
but like Kirsten and Dobson are right there.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, they're doing. You know, and Blaze had that previous record where he was tied with Dobson, but like those 3 right now. It is, yeah. The goalie play is pretty insane. I mean, it kind of makes the games boring to watch, to be honest. It's like,
and Maxey had 8 shots, and he was like, when he was shooting those, those balls that he was shooting, he was like, oh, those usually go in. It's like, fuck, that guy's saving every one of them. But he'll figure it out. He got some opportunities.
Yeah, he was interesting because there was something like he had a few ground ball plays that I really liked, like scrapped and kept ground balls alive, and and he was active, to your point, like he got shots. It's like, it's like, hey, I mean, he put himself in position to score. He didn't ultimately. Really nice assist on his first ever assist where he had the hang up and he kind of looked it off to get the goalie there so he could throw the ball over the cage to the backside cut by Campbell. Like he definitely flashed to me. I think Brian's gonna have a tough one with him and Will, like figuring that out. I mean, Will, like you could see the flashes from Agassi, and obviously he's the young guy and you invested draft capital, but Will also had 3 goals and Maxey had 0.
Yeah.
Like so like that they're gonna have to, but good problem to have. You have 2 really good lefties when last year you had none. So like improvement there. You know, to me, not having Pat Cav on this offense, like they look more like they looked before, where it's like you're not trying to use somebody. Like in that playoff game against the Chaos, it was like every time we were going to Pat against the invert, I say you guys, and it just kind of looked like it was a force feed, where now it just looks like that offense just takes what comes, which is when they're at their best. Asher's clearly the guy, and he's your quarterback, and he's getting tons of assists, but like nobody out there is really hunting points at all. It's like they just take what's there, and they're good in that way. But you mentioned it. Their offense struggled in this game, and it was cursed, and it was that defense in front of cursed. I mean, Keelty's been exceptional. Goodrich was really good. Their D-minis are really good. And I can't say this loud enough, and I actually mentioned it. I want to get them on together, like joint stepbrothers interview style. But Owen Grant and Ethan Rawl are
great combo.
To me, maybe have been the best 2 LSMs in the league so far, and they're rotating up there together. I mean, Rawl is popping off the screen. Like he looks fucking awesome, and he kind of he regressed a little bit last year from year 1, in my opinion. And then I heard he quit his job. Like he is a committed pro lacrosse guy. And he's fucking he's making plays left and right, and then Grant makes the play of the game.
Yeah, I think as the faith that Coach Oderna, the D coordinator, has done a great job with them. Like the faith that he has. Like Rawl is like he's your starter, but like the last play of the game, he puts in Owen Grant. Like the confidence he has in both of them. Like if one of those guys is tired, like go ahead, you go. And he made an unbelievable play, and it led to a huge goal in transition.
And then, it should be said. So the Cannons, like that's a big win. I mean, if you're the Cannons and you haven't gotten over the hump, like it's a bigger win for them than it is a loss for the Archers. Frankly, like it's just like it's good to keep seeing yourself win. And again, a lot of the things like I think the Cannons defense and Cursed is statistically might be the best defense at the end of the season. Like they look awesome. I think they have you mentioned Oderna, like really good D coordinator. You know, like I think the elite goalie, like they have all the pieces there. I really like that. I think the offense is going to continue to play better and better. They got to get Campbell going. You know, like there's some things they couldn't
Campbell. Campbell, he's injured. It looks like, right? He looks like in my opinion, he's that elbow or whatever's going on with it. He can't pull up from distance with it. So I think he's more dodging, drawing slides, drawing attention, moving it, dishing, cutting. But his game the last year, I mean, he was bombing the ball from fucking deep. So I don't know what's going on there.
2-pointers.
Yeah. So I think that.
But that's something. Like, look, they won the game. They should feel excited. And like 100%. Even like texting with Marcus, he's like, yeah, that goal was sick, but I also should have scored. You know, I shot 12 shots and I made 2 of them or something like that. Yeah. Like he even was just so like there is self-awareness. Like you won the game with 9 goals, but there's something to be said about finding a way to win, and they're playing a lot in transition again, right? The game tying goal you pointed out is in transition. So I think there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Cannons fan. Like things are looking good, and there's still a couple of problems, not problems, but a couple of things that they got to solve. who is a lefty? What are we doing there? How do we get this midfield going a little bit more? Asher's still not scoring. Like, he is dishing, but like the offense is not clicking just yet. There's some things to work out on that offense, but they've got the guys, and if their defense is playing at that level, they have some time, and they're 2-0, which also buys you some time to try some different things. Like, it's not like the Whips or the Outlaws where all of a sudden it's like, hey, I got to worry about the playoffs. Like, when you're 2-0, if you want to try some different lineups or some different things, it's a little easier to do. So that puts them in a good situation. Tucci, they don't win faceoffs, but he scores
50%. So I got to go.
So good offenses score around 30% of the time.
Yeah.
So for me, if you're a faceoff guy, 1 goal equals 3 faceoff wins. It's the equivalent of 3 possessions when you score a goal. How's that for a little advanced analytics? So like, he doesn't win above 50% of faceoffs most games or ever really, but both games so far, he hit a 2-pointer in week 1. He scored a goal in this game. And all of a sudden, if you look at it that way, where the point production, if you convert that to percentage of possessions, he's actually like right in the mix of one of the so like, he needs to keep doing that. That's a big additive thing for them. Let's go to the Archers. So I just, for a lot of people, I probably am one of them. Like, he's one of the top 2 or 3 greatest players of all time. But like, that game was lost on Tom's stick there at the end. And it makes me a little bit nervous for the Redwoods next week, because Tom's like, he knows
comes back.
He's going to be, he's going to be aggressive. I'm just going to put it that way. Yeah. He's going to be aggressive next week, because in those last 2 possessions, they're up by 1 with whatever it is, 2 minutes left or something like that. And he's in the huddle speaking up, saying, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. And he ends up making it. It looked kind of like a set play. And now he hit Dyson Williams in the stick, and Dyson Williams didn't catch it. But like, you throw it off the hip, fucking 80-mile-an-hour sidearm not skip, but feed to the crease up top. And like, we played pro lacrosse long enough, like, turning the ball over above GLE is recipe for disaster going the other way. Like, and in that moment, to throw that like kind of high risk pass, and like, again, if Dyson Williams catches it, we're not talking about this, but he didn't catch it. And having been on the other end of some of those Tom skips, like, Dyson Williams is some of the best hands in the world. Like, they're not easy to catch when you're 8 yards away and he's rifling it off his hip. So that turnover leads to the game tying goal that you mentioned. Then next possession, he gets stripped by Owen Grant. They go down. Marcus scores the game winner. So tough end of the game for Tom, and he hasn't really like popped off yet offensively. So I'm not really saying it to criticize him, because he's fine and he's going to be fine. And they're 2-time defending champs, and they're 1-1. And there's like, for me with the Archers, like, there's no alarm bells ringing. Like, I just think they're fine.
Can't wait till Tom texts you tomorrow after he listens to this.
One, doubt he listens. 2, he ain't going to text me. He's going to be like, yeah, he's fucking right. Like, and then, but I am gonna put the Redwoods on like alert. Like, I don't know, the Redwoods LSM situation, like guarding. Like, I just think, and it's not even about the Redwoods defense. It's just about Tom. Like, when he comes out with a vengeance and to make a point, like, we all know what he's capable of doing.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that out there. If you're a better Tom over on whatever his over under is on points, goals, I would bet that next week, because that was a tough end of the game for him. The Archers offense looks a little broken. Like, they're not really looking like themselves early in the season, but my point of not being worried, Trey LeClaire's not there. Grant Ament's not playing. Tom hasn't really, picked up to full speed quite yet. Like, I just think they'll be fine. And Dobson looks incredible. Their defense looks great. Hossack's been great. Like, I don't really see a huge cause for concern with them. Kirst played insane, and they lost a 1-goal game that, frankly, like, they should have won. They had a goal lead in the ball and whatever. So, yeah, I don't like have much else on my Archers. I'm not too super worried about this for them.
Yeah, and like another guy like who's been, I don't think, great is Sisselberger. He's been okay. He hasn't been. I mean, Tucci went 50%. It was 50-50, and Tucci, right? He's not like the best face-off guy. He scraps it up. He does a great job of making a mess of things. But Sisselberger was so freaking dominant for the Archers, and a big piece of everything that they do.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on with him? He's at 34. I don't know what percentage he's at, but it's not Nardella. Like, Nardella went at him. But yeah, it was 23% in the against Nardello, but Nardello's a great faceoff guy. I'm not saying that, but like,
Yeah, he was the top guy last year. But you're right. You're right.
Get him going. Got to get him going.
Yeah, yeah. It just feels like the Archers are like not fully revved up. But to be saying that and they're 1-1, like if they were 0-2, this conversation is maybe different. They're 1-1 and they had a chance to win that game, and they're not. Like Grant, I assume will get healthy. I think Trey LeClaire coming back is a big deal. Like that guy's incredible. You know, Matt Moore racked Epple. Like Matt Moore looked aggressive and looked good. Like he looks healthy. I feel like I know you and I are the Matt Moore watch.
He took 10 shots and Fields took 2.
Yeah, but like I like to see that out of Moore. Like be aggressive, like go, you know, like and so I just think, you know, I think they're going to be fine. Fields has been good. He's been like O'Keefe hasn't gotten going, but he also like he rung in the fourth quarter. I think he hit the pipe 3 times. Yeah. One of them was a 2-pointer. Like it's just I just kind of feel like with them, it's like you know, there's not any like alarm bells the way I think we're ringing them for the whip snakes and for the outlaws. Like the Archers look a little more like we got to clean some things up here and there, but you can still see it. It's still there, right? So that's that. Okay, last game. So Redwoods Chaos. Dude, the Redwoods
just do it. We don't have to touch on the Chaos. Let's just talk about the Redwoods, I guess.
The Redwoods just do it again. Like it's run it back. Like they're fucking full of enthusiasm, full of energy. Garnsey looks great. Kavanaugh looks great. Malloy looks great. The little fucking Mitty from Maris keeps making plays, which is like every time he does something, it's a juice goal.
Leader in jersey sales.
Yeah, apparently, allegedly. Like, let's see the receipts on that. But like TD Ierlan is excellent at the X. Jared Connors is continuing to play better and better. Like he had 2 assists. You're getting stuff out of him. I still have some questions about like the defense and the goaltending, but where they're good defense, like Tevlin's a fucking dog. Like they're pretty good at deep midi. The rookie from Syracuse, number 3, like he's noticeable out there. But it's just not like with them. It's not about personnel. It's like they're playing with fucking belief and confidence. And dude, I had the take that Chris Kavanaugh was the best Kavanaugh. I think we talked about this on like one of the early episodes. And then I told you I went and looked at their career stats, and like Matt and Pat's are significantly better in college than Chris's were. Yeah. But I was like, but Chris had the big Final Four, and the way he's playing right now, like lets the game come to him, but gets his and is confident as fuck. I love it. He's a great interview.
He's playing like Stone Cold Killer Matt Kavanaugh.
Dude, like he knows who he is, and he's just like confident in himself. And I think being out there with Ryder helps him a lot. That's his coach, and you saw he scored that crazy fucking between the legs goal. Like, so I just like I can't say enough good things about what Train has done. And Chris Bachlet, man, like. Watch Chris Bachlet on the sideline when the Redwoods score. He goes fucking nuts. And Bach is an all-time like juice guy, was a great pro, was an incredible like locker room guy, teammate. He's their offensive coordinator. They're something, dude. They look really good.
Yeah, and Anthony Kelly, Coach Kelly, right? Obviously, we've talked about this. They've done a great job. He's done a great job with that locker room. They're, hand up. I was wrong because looking at before the season, I did not think this team was going to look like the way that they do, and they've proven us wrong, and it's awesome to see because, again, like the Dylan Malloy thing, like beginning of the year they picked him up, and I'm just like, is he going to retire? Like, what's going on? So it's awesome to see him. He's playing like he did, like he was at Brown. Like he looks awesome. And this week, right, they activated Sam English. You got Sam English coming in the lineup. I think Aiden Denenza is probably going to be sitting out this weekend. And then are they going to dress Sam Handley? So if they dress Sam Handley, they're going to have to pull someone else out of that lineup. But English is going to give them a really, really good two-way. Him and Tevlin running the field.
With Tevlin, it's going to be all of a sudden their draft picks. Like I was critical of them. But, I mean, they got Chris Cav later, who's probably looks like the front runner for Rookie of the Year right now.
Yeah,
McAdory's been great, man. Like, and he's been excellent. Like, just making the right play all over the place, and he's looked really good. And so it'll be interesting to see what English looks like when they add him to that mix. But man, it's the sum is greater than the parts. Like with them right now, and I heard a quote like they were talking about TD Ierlan and how last year, like he's winning a fuck ton of faceoffs, and how last year they were the worst team in the 32 shot clock. And Train was like, look, we're like, instead of complain or Coach Kelly, instead of complain or talk about the 32-cent shot clock and we're not able to take advantage of our great face, like embrace it. Like let's just figure out how to be the best. We got a face-off guy that wins all the time, and like it's like that attitude and like that point of view of like we're not going to complain, which a lot of fucking people in and around the PLL do, just complain about fucking everything. The rules and this and that and the changes and like it's like no, like just embrace it. Like this is what it is. So let's be great. Let's find a way to score a ton of goals. And like I said, Jared Connors gets 2 assists off faceoffs. Like it's just like they're putting like McAdory on the wing, and they're gonna have English on the wing and Tevlin on the wing. Like they've got guys who they can put up on the wings who score, and Jared Connors is capable offensively as well, and so is TD. Like they look like the team this year. It was kind of the Archers, did it. The Atlas did it last year, but to be that team that's really good in the 32 and taking advantage of their faceoff guy. So far this season, it's been them. Which you hire a faceoff guy as a head coach who also was like pretty capable offensive player. Train was. I mean, it's they're the story of the season so far. And now look. Let's tell the truth. They've played the Chaos and the Outlaws, who look like the 2 worst teams potentially, right? So they're going to get a real test this weekend with the Archers and an angry Tom Schreiber, and I think it's going to be a big let's find out. Like we know they're for real. It's a really impressive, but like, can your attack do that against Hasek and Warren Jeffrey and Brett Dobson and that crew? Like, I mean, they did it to Blaze, but they did it to the Chaos on the second game in 2 days. Like they got to keep proving it, and they should. And they should should clip this up and put it, play it for the team and be like, hey, they still don't believe in us. They think we're just so like that's the attitude that they're going to take. But I do want to see them beat like what I deem a good team, which would be the Archers. And despite Blaze's greatness, like I'm not there on the Chaos. Like I don't think they're good. Yeah. And I definitely don't think the Outlaws are good right now. 2 weeks in, so they got to prove it. Yep. Anything else to add on the Redwoods or on that game?
Nope.
So maybe a quick kind of just look ahead, right, to wrap us up. We go to Philadelphia.
Should be a good crowd.
So the first thing I was thinking is, right, hopefully it's a better crowd. I'm going to say it again. The South in the summer, it's lake house culture down here. It's a zillion degrees. People leave Charlotte. People leave Atlanta. Like it's very hard to sell tickets in the summer in the South. Like the only team that can do it are the Atlanta Braves. That just is what it is. So hopefully Philly, not as hot, a little more lacrosse culture embedded. Hopefully they do a better job and there's more butts in the seats. I'm excited to watch Philly play twice because watching that offense, like outside of Marcus's insane goal and moment and what otherwise was like offensively a pretty boring game, Philly's offense was fucking fun to watch, man. Like Sowers is fun to watch. McCardle's fun to watch. They just had so many weapons. So I'm excited to get to see them play twice. Like if they can, if they can get by Boston, you've got Denver. Like those games, the Philly Boston game and the Philly Denver game are really intriguing to me. And like find out just how good Philly is going to be because they looked fucking great in week 1. What jumps out to you in that slate? Boston, Philly, Redwoods, Archers, Atlas, Whips, and then Denver, Philly.
Yeah, the Boston and Philadelphia game is going to be good, right? They got, Stathakis and Tucci, not your typical marquee faceoff guy, so it's going to be a battle. I think that's going to be a 1-goal game back and forth.
The 2 best guys are going 44%.
Yeah.
Let's see who gets it.
And it's going to be awesome to see, the Cannons and how they, go at that whip or that Water Dogs offense, who guards who, Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a dogfight. That's gonna be a good game. And then you've already touched on it. My other game was California and the Utah Archers. Like, not taking away anything away from the Redwoods. They look freaking awesome. But you're going against the 2-time defending champs this weekend. Like you said, a pissed off Tom Schreiber. So that game, I'm gonna have my eyes on that game. That's gonna be interesting to see what they look like in that one because you got 2 good face-off guys going off against each other, and that's gonna be a big one. And then we got the Atlas back in action. I feel like they haven't played in like 3 weeks, but it's only been 3 weeks, but
and the Atlas are 1-1, right? And we didn't really see the Atlas. Like we didn't see what we expected to see with their offense and that firepower. And it's like if that team shows up, if Teat has a big day and Schellenberger has a big day, we could be looking at 0-3 Whipsnakes from a championship performance a year ago. Like, and that to me is a really interesting storyline there. How do you, if you are Boston's defense, how do you match up? If you're Coach O and you got, Taylor, so Taylor gets Bryce Young, right? I mean, Bryce Young on that Cannons defense is kind of the off ball, or do you put Epple there? Like how would you match up Taylor, Sowers, McCardle with Epple, Keelty? Because I agree, that's, to me, like unit versus unit, that's a really fun one. The Water Dogs offense and specifically their attack against this, revamped Cannons defense that's looked so good.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Like
two ways you can go. I would put, Keelty or Bryce on Sowers. In the past, Bryce has guarded Sowers, but Keelty, Keelty.
But we've seen Epple guard Sowers before too. Because I remember one game where Epple just made him go left the entire game and like had some success against him there.
Yeah, I think Epple loves to cover McCardle. And then, I think Bryce on Jake Taylor inside. I mean, they're not going to have, like, the whip snays were very, very, very slide crazy to Sowers. Key in point, he scored 7, or he had 7 assists. So I bet you're going to see, right, if there's a poll in that matchup, they're not going to be too hesitant to slide. They're going to say, hey, go ahead and score 7 goals if you can. Because like a couple of those dodges, like when Sowers is running full speed, then he's sweeping across the arc up top. I don't like, go ahead and shoot it running across the arc.
Yeah, from deep.
East west.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead and shoot that shit. So I think you're going to see the Cannons kind of like say, go ahead, Mike, beat us. And he's capable. And is he capable of doing that and putting the ball back on it? Of course he is. But I don't think you're going to see them be too slide happy on that. And then out of the midfield, just, I don't know. They're not going to change too much up. They're
I think you put the pole to Hannah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pole Hannah, and then after that, it doesn't really matter. But I think they're just gonna try to take Sowers out of the game and not let him have fucking 7 assists. So
it's gonna be fun to watch to see if because you're right. I mean, Epple on McCardle, like can Keelty or Bryce like stay with Sowers and stop him from if he gets 1 or 2, sure. But
Keelty loves covering him. Like, so I think you're gonna see Keelty on Michael Sowers. And I think you're gonna see Bryce.
And then Bryce on the inside.
Yep.
That Cannons defense, man, that's a talented trio that can do a lot of things and match up in different ways. And then obviously you have Curse behind it. If you do, get broken down, he steals a handful. So
or they might play zone. No, I'm just kidding. They're not gonna play zone.
Yeah, definitely not. Although Houston go to zone at weird times this year, and you got the same D coordinator, so who knows? Can we talk about? So we mentioned the broadcast a little bit. First off, I was a huge hater in years past on the in-helmet interviews because the fucking mic never worked. You could never hear. It'd always be like, I think the impression was like, Rob, like,
can you hear me?
How do you continue to do that patent question mark dodge? And he'd be like, what? He'd be like, how do you do that question mark dodge? And be like, oh, I just practice it. Okay, thanks, Rob. And be like, what are we doing?
Oh, I just run to 5 yards. I run 5 yards up the field, and I run 5 yards outside to the sideline. That's what I
like that they're away from that, and now they're just sending Dana Boyle over to the sideline to talk to dudes like right after they scored or to talk to the coach in the middle of the game. Like, I prefer it. They got to figure out the sideline mic. The volume is still fucked up on the sideline mic. It's not loud enough. So they need to fix their, probably like me, like they probably got the same mic setup that I have. It's like inconsistent. I need better volume set up on the sideline mic. But I prefer it. I like the way that they're doing that. Like, it's fun when like a rookie scores his first goal and then gets to the sideline and immediately gets interviewed. Like I do kind of dig that aspect of it. I thought it was improved. Let me put it that way. I thought the coverage, and I was sitting with extended family this week watching the game at the beach, and they were all just like, it is a great product. And like, it's so, the production quality of ESPN is so good. That fucking ball is easier to see. Now, is it affecting the shooters? Or we're hearing rumors that ball is a little slippery.
It is.
That might be part of what we're seeing with the goalie play right now.
Yeah. So fun fact, the MCLA adopted those balls this year, and the PLL saw what we were doing and copied us on that. But the balls are slippery. Our players complained about that as well. So when Marcus said that,
that might be part of what we're saying with the goalie play a little bit. Like the goalies have been kind of dominating a lot of games, but the ball is easier to watch. And man, the quality of play. I shouldn't say the quality of play because it's not always like the organization or execution of game plan, but the skill level is so much higher than college. Yeah. It's so much higher.
It's absurd.
Like the consistency with which these guys are completing skips and passing the ball inside, and now like the organization and the physicality of the defensive play. You know, some of the ground balls the guys come up with. I mean, Ryder had that goal where he like picked up the ground ball and spun and finished, and Kavanaugh through the legs, and it's a great product.
Ryder Garney's one-handed feed at Illinois was stupid. I mean, I don't know how you hit him like right in his goddamn stick. Like, fuck.
Dude, Ryder deserves some credit, man. Like, he's putting together a nice little career.
Yeah,
he's
playing like, street ball out there.
He was
kind of shit that you just never think of.
He's kind of an easy guy to hate on. Like, he would get a lot of attention. The Redwoods wouldn't win, and it was a little, but like at the end of the day, like he is just continuously producing. And I think since he's been coaching college, he's just gotten better and better. He's become a smarter player and choosing his moments to take some of those risks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would have put myself in that bucket of being like a little bit of a hater. Not if I really like him as a person, but just like I don't know if this is winning lacrosse the way he plays.
Yeah.
And now I'm like I think it is. Like he's doing a really good job, and like you know knows the game and is making a lot of good decisions, and like didn't really do a lot in week 1 and then comes out with a big game in week 2. So he's been fun to watch. So fuck yeah. Well, that's week 2. We look ahead to Philly. Got anything to close on?
Yeah. 2 things. One, sorry to my fans. I was supposed to be in Charlotte this weekend, but Scott canceled the vacation we had planned, so I was not there. I was here in Texas. And 2, hey, coaches, PLL coaches.
Both of your fans were really disappointed.
Yeah, and also PLL coaches calling out Bates and Stagnita. Be nicer to the goddamn ESPN announcers, Dana Boyle and Quinn Kesnick. When they come ask you a question, I know it might not be going your way. Don't be fucking short with them, all right? Put a smile on your face. Could be worse. Be nice. That's it.
Be nicer. And I'm going to add what Colsey, he needs to figure out how to be a little more concise. He's answering. If you watch his interviews when he goes in, he's answering questions for like talking for like 8 minutes. It's like, dude, just somewhere in between. Don't be a dick, but also like don't need your life story.
Watch Bill Belichick highlights.
Yeah, let's go. All right, buddy. Great show. We'll see you guys after week 3. Peace.